Yo, Rocco B, Scotty G, highly explicit NFL podcast. We're back, episode 11. I can't believe we're at 11. Holy shit, but I'm Rocco B. How you doing? We got Scotty G over in California.
How you doing?
Now, in episode 10, we dropped the fact that, the Hall of Fame, it's really touchy now. It's getting really fucking touchy. You got a guy like Julian Edelman who retired. You got Wes Welker who's been retired.
I don't think it's touchy at all, but keep going.
Do we want to make a slot receiver whole kind of wing? Do we get them away from the receivers? But my main thing with the Hall of Fame and what we talked about in episode 10 was I really believe that Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer, and I'll prove to you why.
I think you're out of your tits, but before we go into that, because I know it's going to take a little while, let me bring something up for you. I thought very interesting.
Okay.
Last episode, I think it was, we talked about the old Brownies and that jerk-off defensive line that they had.
Yep.
Well, for all those who don't know, that line got a little less jerk-off-ishy, and they got rid of one of their jerk-offs. Sheldon Richardson was released.
Yes, they
not
did.
Traded.
Yeah.
Not traded. Released.
Cut.
By the Cleveland Browns. I have a couple things to say about this. First off, there's obviously something wrong with this guy. He's a phenomenal player, but he can't be anywhere for more than a year other than the New York Jets, which is a fucking shit show organization, and they wouldn't know a jerk off if I was standing in front of him. But the other thing is, I got a hunch, and I could be dead wrong with this, but I got a hunch that Dallas Cowboy defensive line might add one more jerk off that's out there now, newly on the free agency market.
Oh, boy.
And I think that's going to be Sheldon Richardson. I think he's going to be wearing the star on his helmet, is what I think.
I'll tell you what. I mean, Sheldon Richardson.
It's got Jerry written all over it.
Fantastic player. He's been, like we talked about in episode 10, I believe he is the best first-round draft pick, sans Jamal Adams, that the Jets have made in the past 10 fucking years.
Darrell Reeves wasn't a very good pick.
I don't think he was 10 years ago. Was he? Was he what?
Yeah,
no,
it was longer than
that, right? So
I didn't hear you say 10 years.
Yeah, I'd say 10 years, but I'd say Sheldon Richardson, and you put Sheldon and you put Jamal in your little mix of first round picks. They're the only two guys that fucking panned out. So
Wilkerson was okay for a little bit.
I don't think that you're out of your tits as far as it makes sense, because Dallas needs a fucking sack monster in the middle. Problem is he's going to be too expensive. They don't fucking dip their feet in the expensive pool in free agency. They just don't do it. And he's an older guy that you can probably get a younger guy, say, in the third round this year, that drops, because defensive linemen are completely undervalued now in the draft, especially this year. Sans an edge rusher, I don't think there's going to be two defensive linemen in the first round. So
that's a ballsy statement right there, man.
I don't think there's going to be two defensive tackles that don't play edge in the first round.
Oh, that don't play edge?
Yeah.
I guess that's possible.
You know what
that's
I'm saying?
possible.
So,
I thought you meant defensive line in general.
No,
so you're just saying D tackles.
Yes.
I could see
anything that's not an outside backer or an end that's going to rush the passer.
There's not a ton of dominant ones in this draft.
I'm just saying. So that means that you don't have to go and spend a shit ton of money on an older guy in free agency. You go in the draft and you're going to get fucking maybe end of the first round, middle of the second round talent in the third round.
But the reason they're not going in the first round is because they're not that great anyway. So, if you want someone who's established, you probably go after a guy like this, but it has to be a certain team. Real quick, he's on the Jets for 4 years. We drafted him, the Jets. After that, 1 year with Seattle, 1 year at Minnesota, 1 year with the Browns. Does that not scream this guy is probably a problematic issue? And then Dr. Tomas was telling me that he was considered one of the captains on the team. I looked it up. Fucking Stefanski didn't name any captains last year. What kind of fucking organization is the fucking Brownies? The only organization other than the Lions worse than the fucking Jets.
Well, I think honestly with Richardson, the problem is he's probably too expensive. He's not giving us the production.
They saved, I think, 10 to 12 million on him, and apparently they offered to restructure his contract for less money. And he said he wanted to be in Cleveland. He would restructure his money, and then all of a sudden they went out, got Clowney, and cut Richardson, which tells me Richardson probably behind the scenes was like, "Fuck that, I ain't taking less money."
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, they got Clowney, and then everybody forgets they got Tack McKinley, another first round pick as a defensive end. But yeah, I think with Cleveland, they're gonna be loaded, they're gonna be locked and loaded. But I kept hearing yesterday, like Cleveland's like all of a sudden a fucking Super Bowl favorite, and it's like, why? Because of Jadeveon Clowney? I mean, I just don't understand how one guy makes.
I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to go into this again because I said it last fucking episode.
Yeah,
they were a Super Bowl favorite like 2 years ago, dude.
Yeah,
like nothing's changed. To me, I don't know why there's more hype now that Clowney's there. Just like you said, to me, it's a lot of other reasons of why they should have been actually a favorite. In fact, they've been a disappointment the last 2 years. It's nice that they won a playoff game because that's how low the bar has been set for this organization. That was like considered the ultimate victory. But realistically, on paper, this team situated should have been a contender the last 2 years.
No, I agree.
I want to say one thing though before we move on from Cleveland. I do think that as long as Mayfield can have a similar season that he had last year without Odell Beckham, not with Odell, because he played much better without Odell. If he can have a similar game where he's a little above a manager, making some plays and stuff, because at this point that's really all he is. I do think the Cleveland Browns are probably the number one team to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs for the AFC. And I know you don't even have the Kansas City Chiefs making it, but you're fucking out of your mind. But I'm just saying the reason being is, and I know people will say the Bills, and I don't think the Bills are far behind either. I think Bills can be there too. But my whole point is with the Browns, they have one thing that a lot of other teams in the AFC do not have, and that is a badass run game.
Yeah.
And what does a run game do? It keeps Patrick Mahomes off the fucking field.
Yeah, you took my thoughts out of my mind, man. That's exactly right. And if you remember the game in the playoffs, if Baker Mayfield can make some fucking plays, they got Kansas City beat in Kansas City last year. So
I agree.
So, but my issue is Baker's got to show me again. I just don't believe in it. I love Chubb. I love Hunt. I love Austin Hooper. They're gonna, Landry came up big, and again without OBJ taking up all of Baker's mind.
Landry's awesome, man. He's underrated.
I'm just saying he's a better quarterback when OBJ's not on the field.
I agree.
Their defense has gotten better. Way better. They brought in a couple guys from the Rams, Johnson and Hill, and they still got Denzel Ward, and they got Greedy Williams coming back. They got Grant Delpit coming back. I mean, they brought Anthony Walker in from the Colts. They have a hugely changed for the better defense. But Baker, like I said last episode, Baker's got to show me. I just can't see it 2 years in a row. But I will say that they're not going to have to worry about Kansas City because they're not even going to be in the fucking playoffs. So
let's just fucking move on.
Now, real quick, I also wanted to bring up something I started off the show with episode 10, and I want to make it right because now the news is updated, and we don't want to be reporting bullshit. Aaron Donald apparently did not fucking knock this guy's eyebrow off his head, and he actually did a lot to help this guy from not get even worse. So
somebody knocked his eyebrow.
So exactly, let's find that guy. But apparently, video has shown.
Is there video?
Video.
I heard there was like 4 or 5 witnesses. I haven't heard anything but a video.
Video has surfaced, and the video that came out that said basically Aaron Donald was one of the guys that was getting held back by people not to get into this bullshit. And then later on, when this guy's getting his eyebrow knocked off,
pull the guys off him.
Yeah, Aaron Donald was one of the guys who was pulling the guys off the guy. So we just want to make sure we set that straight. Thank God, because Aaron Donald's a fucking fantastic player to watch, and we don't want to see him suspended.
I agree. And honestly, though, it makes sense because if it was Aaron Donald, the guy would probably be fucking dead.
That's a good point.
Because he's a big boy.
That's a good point.
He's a big boy.
But then again, we could see the way that guy's face looked. We can see that could be from one punch from that fucking guy. But
true.
But it's good though that it wasn't. So now he's not going to be suspended. It's beautiful. Hopefully, because the NFL, likes to suspend guys for a reason.
Money grab. This guy probably knew for damn sure. He probably knew Aaron Donald pulled the guy off him, and he's probably like, "Fuck it, let's go get that money."
Yep. And he's like, fuck, we forgot about the video.
Now he's just mangled and embarrassed.
And he's got the fucking video to prove it. I'll tell you, the main thing that I've been worried about over the past couple of days since we've mentioned it on episode 10 was, to me this is big. I don't want to be even crazier sounding than I was when I told you that Cincy was going to win the division and when Kansas City was going to miss the playoffs. I didn't want to come out and really say, hey, like for sure that I believe that Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer until I crunch some numbers. And boy, did I crunch some numbers. And as much as we don't like him, I'm a fucking Cowboys fan. Can't stand the Giants. Can't stand.
Do you want me to go first? Because I got my numbers against him. You want me to go first?
I would like you to, and then I'll prove it that he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Maybe I'll let you go.
Okay. Well, here's what I came up with. There is an average that a Hall of Fame quarterback has to have. There's, of course, guys that are way better than this, but there's also guys that are less than this that are in the Hall of Fame, and I'm going to give you some numbers real quick. The average Hall of Fame quarterback has won 2 Super Bowls. He started 13 years.
Every quarterback that's won 2 Super Bowls has made the NFL, just for the record. I understand that.
No.
Keep going.
No, every quarterback that has won
true.
2 Super Bowls is not in the Hall of Fame.
Who's not that has won 2 Super Bowls?
The guy that I will compare him to in a second, Jim Plunkett, who won 2 Super Bowls. He is not in the Hall of Fame.
Sorry, I forgot about fucking Plunkett.
I know, but I'm telling you, I'm just gonna hurt you in another part of this too. But let me get there. They've played 192 games. They have a 59% completion percentage. They've got slightly over 38,000 yards. They have 260 touchdowns and 195 interceptions. That is the average Hall of Fame quarterback. Let's keep those numbers in mind. Let's go to Eli for a second, shall we? He's a 2 Super Bowl winner. He's started 14 years for the New York Giants, so that's 1 more year. He's played 236 games. That's 40 more games. He has a 60.3 completion percentage, better than 59. He has 57,000 yards, way better than 38,000. He has 366 touchdown passes, 106 more than the average. And, of course, he's got about 50 more interceptions, but that doesn't matter. He ranks 7th.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't matter. We'll forget about that stat.
Well, as far as,
forget about the stat.
He's got 100 more touchdowns as well.
Gives
so
the team
give me a break.
The possession, yeah.
And he's got 20,000 more yards too. So let's just forget about
the guy played fucking a million years in a row.
So did a lot of the guys in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, a lot of them did, huh?
So Eli ranks number 7 in career passing yards, passing touchdowns, and completions. The guy has missed 0 games due to injury. He had 210 straight starts. He was a very average quarterback in the regular season, of course, because guess what? He finished dead in the middle. He's 117 wins, 117 losses. But he's 8-4 in the playoffs. And of all of the 26 modern era quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame, only 2 have a losing record. Your boy, Joe Namath.
Joe Namath is the most overrated Hall of Famer of all time.
And Sonny Jurgensen.
Story for another day.
Joe Namath and Sonny Jurgensen have losing records and they're in the Hall of Fame. And, like I said earlier, Jim Plunkett has 2 Super Bowl wins. He's the only quarterback that doesn't. Because Jim Plunkett had way less games. He didn't start for 13 years. He has a 52% completion percentage, which is awful. 25,000 yards, which is way worse than the 38. And he only has 164 touchdowns. He's not even close. So, of course, he's not going to be in the Hall of Fame. But you're going to tell me that Eli Manning, with all those numbers, way higher than the average, 2 Super Bowls, a winning record in the playoffs, more than double. He's number 7 in all the stats. He started for 14 years. How are you going to tell me that he's not in the Hall of Fame?
Okay, you ready for this? Because
I'm excited.
That argument was not as strong as I thought you were going to come out with. You came out a lot cockier with that argument than I thought you would.
There's no cocky. It's fact.
We both agree. Regular season, he is beyond average. In fact, some seasons way below average because of his interceptions. Correct? Are we all agreeing on that?
Absolutely, but in some of those seasons, he was very productive.
You're basing your argument off 2 things: his playoff performances and the fact that he's a fucking Iron Man and he never gets hurt and plays every game. Yeah. Which also, by the way, just to ruin this 2 stats for you, you're going to have a top 10 or top 15 passing and touchdown and all that bullshit when you play 14 years in the recent NFL. They didn't even throw the ball as much back in the day. And this guy has played more games than a lot of guys have played. Give it another 5-10 years. Watch how much he dramatically drops down that fucking list now that everybody throws the ball. The same thing with your average. You got guys like Joe Namath in there for the average. It's because there's guys that the offenses didn't even throw the ball back then. So the average is skewed. You got to go off of the last 20, 30 years if you really want to look at it. But I digress on that. Let's look at the playoffs because that's what I focused in on.
Okay.
Eli Manning has been to the postseason 6 times. 6 times. Do you know why he's 8-4? Because out of the 2 times that he didn't win a fucking Super Bowl, he was one and done. Let's look at this. 2007, 2011, the 2 Super Bowl runs, Yeah, pretty good. 63% completion percentage, 2,073 yards, 15 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 100 QB rating. Let's look at the other playoff runs he had. 54% completion percentage, 742 yards, 3 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That's fucking terrible. A 61.8 QB rating. That's a 38.3 differential. That's on the one that outside of the 2 times that this guy fucking pulled the miracles out of his fucking ass. And honestly, I give him credit for that. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback. I'm not saying he wasn't clutch. But Hall of Fame, get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, if we're going to talk about playoffs, and we're going to talk about what they did in the biggest stage and all that shit, and you're going to talk about the piling up of stats over the years and all that, you're going to tell me Aaron Rodgers is a way better quarterback, right?
Yeah.
How many Super Bowls that guy got?
He's got 1.
Okay. How many playoff losses does that guy have? He's got a ton.
I have no idea.
He's got a ton. And they lost a lot of times in the first fucking round. So to me, that argument sucks because Aaron Rodgers is generally considered.
First off, Aaron Rodgers is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
But he's a Hall of Famer, right?
At this very moment.
I'm not saying Eli Manning's first ballot.
But Aaron Rodgers has also been the best quarterback in the regular season as well. So he's been an MVP, twice? How many times has fucking this guy sniffed an MVP?
You know who
matters.
You know who was great in the regular season a lot too? Matthew Stafford. How about Jameis Winston, who led the league in yards?
Well, if Matthew Stafford gets a Super Bowl, he might be a Hall of Fame candidate as well.
So again, all of this stuff doesn't make sense. So you're going to say that Stafford for Detroit for 10 years, who did nothing, who never even fucking went to the playoffs. He went to the playoffs once.
Well, I'm not.
Manning won 2 Super Bowls.
My point is, your main argument is you're basically throwing out the regular season. You're saying the fact that he's been healthy, he started games, and the fact that he's had 2 great runs in the playoffs. So he didn't even have 100%. It's not even like every time he went to the playoffs, he was immaculate. He wasn't even great on a bunch of other ones. The guy had 2 runs with a great defense, and he beat the same team twice. You know what? Maybe that fucking team just had Belichick's fucking number.
I'm not throwing out the regular season. How am I throwing out the regular season when that's where he put his 57,000 yards? That's where he put his fucking 366 touchdowns.
You're admitting he's completely average in the regular season.
Yeah, winning and losing. I mean, you want to talk about numbers? The Hall of Fame is about longevity. It's about numbers, and it's about what you did in the biggest stage. To me, how the fuck and I get your average thing. I would get if he's like completely like real close to the average. The guy's got 100 touchdown passes more. He's got 20,000 yards more than the average. It's a fucking joke. This guy's number 7 in everything, and he didn't start just now.
There's not many quarterbacks that start that long though. He's got the starts in his favor.
I get you, but at the same time, like I get that the fact that he's not in the regular season a great win-loss guy, that has a lot to do with your team. Put Aaron Rodgers on the fucking Giants. How much does he make them better?
What do you got to be? What do you got to be? 10th, top 10 all time, top 15 all time in wins for QB wins for it to mean something for you?
As a win-loss ratio, it could be skewed
he's
by the
12th
team
all
that you
time.
had.
He's 12th all time right now in QB wins. I will give you that.
But he's 50% winning, right? So that sucks. But at the same time, that's not all on him either. So Aaron Rodgers is a guy who's got all these fucking numbers. He looks great. He's got MVPs and blah, blah, blah. What do you do in the playoffs? They fucking had way more talented teams than New York Giants, and he fucking lost in the first round. So
I mean, if you ask me, they haven't had more talented teams. I mean, the Giants have had.
Remember the year that Arizona
multiple years.
The year Arizona won, they beat them. Arizona was a wild card team. It's like to me, Eli. I get it. I fucking couldn't stand them as a Cowboys fan. I get it. But if there's going to be certain guys, especially like the guys that are a little older, I get it because the stats aren't the same. But forget about winning records. I mean, if you got Joe Namath, who won 1 fucking Super Bowl and then did nothing the rest of his career, Sonny Jurgensen, who's made fun of.
I agree those 2 should not be in the Hall of Fame.
We're not talking,
just because they shouldn't be in it doesn't mean someone else should.
But we're not talking about the fact that Eli is like, this minuscule guy who's just got all these numbers. He's got 2 Super Bowls, and it was a big part of the reason why they won 2 Super Bowls. Nobody says Jim Plunkett was the reason why they fucking won Super Bowls.
If a ball didn't stick to fucking Tyree, whatever the fuck his name is, head, they only have 1 Super Bowl.
But you can say that about everything.
The other Super Bowl.
You can say that about everything.
You can argue about that.
You can say, guess what? Tom Brady doesn't have 7 if fucking Marshawn Lynch runs the ball. I mean, you can say that about every Super Bowl. It's just the fact it actually happened.
I agree, but I think Brady's pretty average because I can pull 3 away from Brady, but I can also give 3 back to him.
Absolutely, and you're right.
I think he should have won both Giants and probably Eagles one.
But I hate to say this, give Eli Manning a fucking defense. Give Eli in some years. There's other years that their defense was amazing. Give Eli Manning a fucking number 1, number 2 receiver for his whole career, or give him a fucking running game that was like unbelievable.
This guy,
he had it in bits and pieces.
You argue about Dak having not being able to do it without pieces around him. This guy had one of the better offensive lines. He's had Odell Beckham, Plaxico Burress, Victor Cruz, who was good for a minute.
Yep.
He's had even Manningham was good.
Not all at the same time.
Been stellar.
Not all at the same time. The defenses were up and down. They had the best defensive line for a little while, yes. But to me, the Giants went through a lot of flux. He was the constant. And if you're talking about Hall of Fame, it's just really hard to keep this guy out from what he did.
Let me say this too. I know he will get into the Hall of Fame. I know he will, but for 2 reasons. Because he's got 2 Super Bowls. 3 reasons. He's got 2 Super Bowls. Both were against the greatest quarterback of all time. And the fact that his last name is fucking Manning. Sure. That's the 3 reasons right out of the gate. I'm telling you, he's going to make it.
Here's why I'm not bothered.
I just don't think he deserves it.
Here's why I'm not bothered with the Manning thing is because if he had fucking, normal ass stats or it didn't matter, then I'd be pissed. If he's Eli Johnson, he's deserving of the Hall of Fame. It's from what he's done, from what I've now crunched against his numbers, I can't deny it. Again, we can talk about David Tyree all we want. We can talk about, the fucking Patriots and if they blew it on purpose or whatever. Whatever you want to say, he's a Hall of Famer, in my opinion. Something that now I got to get on my knees and say I was wrong about. Julian Edelman's not a Hall of Famer. And
you did the numbers, didn't you?
I did the numbers. And
you son of a bitch. I had a whole fucking lineup for you.
You roasted me with Eli. You don't need to do it with Edelman. The one guy, though, to me is the thing that we should argue, or the guy that we should argue about and figure out whether we do now believe that he's a guy that could maybe be on the fringe, is Wes Welker. Based on the numbers that I crunched against the receivers in the Hall, but he's still not even close.
Now, you're going off of the idea of just a wide receiver, not the fact that if they had a separate
wing, Edelman and Welker go in. Yes.
Yeah, we're having a reality talk, not a figurative.
No, yeah, this is legitimate. This is legitimate Hall of Fame stats.
Yeah, I agree.
And in this point, Edelman and Welker don't deserve it. Of course, Edelman's numbers are not even close. To me, I'm a little bit biased towards Edelman because of, I really love Brady. I love watching him be great. Edelman showed up in the biggest games. That's one of my biggest fucking things is what you do under the biggest lights. He's a guy that I would want to throw the ball to. He's a guy that I want in my huddle, right? 3 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP. He's a great teammate, does everything you want. Hall of Fame, absolutely not. I was out of my fucking tits on that one. Wes Welker is the guy that we should argue about if we really believe he is. He's got one metric that works. He has the average Hall of Famers have at least 750 catches, almost 12,000 yards, and 90 touchdowns is the average for a receiver.
Welker's only got 50, though.
He's got 900 catches, which is great, but he's short of the yards, and he's fucking 40 short of the touchdowns.
Did you check how the average of how many times they get 1,000-yard or you just did total yards?
I did not. I did total. And also the crazy thing about this shit, real quick, Scotty, crazy thing about this shit is this argument that you made about Eli is the reverse with these guys. So it makes no sense why a recent modern receiver that doesn't have the numbers should get in, right? Because back then, all these fucking guys that have the numbers, they didn't throw the ball as much.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the opposite. I took 2 guys from the Hall of Fame list that were in the green with basically all of the stats and that did not win a Super Bowl like Wes Welker did. There's 2 guys, Steve Largent with the Seattle Seahawks, fucking legend, and James Lofton, legend with a bunch of teams. He was 0-3 in Super Bowls when he was with the Buffalo Bills. All of those guys are in the green for all of those numbers I said as far as average goes. They're light years ahead of all those numbers. Even Hines Ward, your boy, he won 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP. He is the king of, I know you said Wayne Corbett is the king of the slots. He may be the godfather, but Hines Ward is the king. Hines Ward's numbers are insane. You know?
Yeah, Kurbett's numbers are not even close to a lot of these guys. He's just one of the first ones to do it. He kind of revolutionized the position.
Yes.
But once the position was created, basically by him, people took off with it.
Absolutely. And even though back in the day with the Chargers you had, Air Coryell with Dan Fouts as the quarterback and Charlie Joyner was really the first slot to be the actual, third guy in the middle. He's a Hall of Famer, but his stats aren't even close because they didn't throw the ball as much. But Hines Ward's numbers are fucking absurd, right? He's Super Bowl MVP, all that stuff like Edelman. But Edelman's numbers and Welker's numbers should have been even more inflated because we pass the ball way more now, and they're not even fucking close. So unless
it's in a system, an offensive system that caters more towards tight ends and
slots, absolutely. So if they don't have the
so
numbers,
you think it would even be more inflated, which maybe it is inflated.
Yeah, maybe. And the fact that Wes Welker has no Super Bowls, he lost every Super Bowl he was in, 2 with New England, 1 with Denver. No fucking way. So unless you have a slot wing, those 2 guys will never make the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. And it makes you appreciate how fucking good these receivers were, like a Largent, like a Lofton, like even Hines Ward, when the ball was not passed nearly as much as it is now. My issue with Edelman was I'm going on what I see the guy do. I'm going on what I see, the clutch factor. I'm going on what I see, when it matters most, what he does on the field, what he means to the team. That's great. But Hall of Fame, whole different story. Wes Welker, to me, is not the clutch guy. He's the numbers guy. And if he was so great, he sends the Patriots to one of those Super Bowls, and he sends Denver to one of those Super Bowls. So
real quick, before we get off this topic, do you think, take all these guys out of the equation, do you think the Hall of Fame is too hard on these on their metrics on how they get people in? Do you think it's too easy? Do you think it's too many players? It's not broken down enough? Like, what is your take on the Hall of Fame in general?
There's one issue that I have with the Hall of Fame, but you can't get over it. And all of the sports Hall of Fame has the same shit. The game is so much different every 10 years. Every 10 years, the game evolves. Whatever fucking game it is, it evolves like crazy, right? When you talk about a guy, how are you going to equate, say, a guy like Steve Largent? And how are you going to equate a guy like Larry Fitzgerald? You can't. I mean, even though they're both fucking unbelievable, they're both great, they're both the best of their position at the time, what would Steve Largent have done if they threw the ball 65% of the time? Like, I know Fitzgerald's fantastic and he definitely deserves it and all that shit, but what would his numbers have been in the 80s? You know what I'm saying? So you can't really compare.
But that's kind of like a lot of sports. Well, the problem is with football, and this is the shitty part for a lot of these guys, is the difference between basketball, baseball, even soccer, tennis, golf, hockey. The difference is football's very dependent on other people. Yep. You could be the greatest quarterback in the world, but if they never give you receivers or an offensive line, you'll never see it.
Absolutely.
To where if you're a great basketball player, you can be on a shitty team, you're going to see it.
Yes.
If you're a great hitter, you're going to hit. You're going to hit the ball. You can be on a shitty team and still showcase your skills.
Yes.
In football, if you don't have the right pieces around you, you may never know that player is any good.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's my only issue with it is that the fact that, unfortunately, the game has changed so much that it's not just about numbers to me. That's why I had the original case for Edelman, is because to me what counts the most out of longevity and out of the fucking pure numbers and all that shit is what you do to make your team the best when it matters. And that's why he's fantastic, Edelman, to me. But he's just not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You can be a good player, you can be a great player, and just not be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them.
Yeah, and Edelman honestly will be that guy to me. Like, he'll be the guy that you'll always remember. He won so many Super Bowls. He was very integral in those Super Bowls. He's a fucking Super Bowl MVP. You don't think of fucking Deion Branch, right? Who thinks of Deion Branch? Deion Branch is Super Bowl MVP because he didn't do the same shit that Edelman did, right? So that's who he'll be to me, but he won't be a Hall of Famer. That's for sure.
That's an argument Dr. Tomas made as well, is that there's a lot of Super Bowl MVPs that doesn't reflect their career.
Yeah, I can name 2 off the top of my head.
They just had a good game.
Larry Brown, the cornerback for Dallas in Super Bowl 30, it was just because it was a shitty game and he made the 2 picks that were big. Who the fuck is Larry Brown, right? And then Malcolm Smith, you remember the linebacker for Seattle when they beat
what about Deion Branch?
When they beat Denver, and then of course Deion. But I'm just saying, those 2 guys, really? I mean, come on.
Even St. Antonio Holmes, I would never say he's a great player. He had a couple good seasons. He was good. He had a couple good seasons.
You're exactly right.
It was just that game.
You're exactly right. So, like I said, Edelman will always be remembered as the guy that really was integral in the Patriots dynasty, but Hall of Famer, hell no. All right, so now I can get a little fired up. I love how you got fired up about Eli. I'm going to get a little fired up now, and it may offend some people, but I don't give a fuck.
Oh, boy.
I'm about sick and tired of this fucking COVID bullshit. I'm over it. I've been over it for a long time, but now this is the thing. This is the fucking straw that broke my camel's back. These guys.
You got a camel?
I got a camel, and he likes to hump, I'll tell you that. To me, this OTA bullshit is exactly what the future, we are looking at the future of the athlete. We have mentioned Brett Favre before in the past. He's the ultimate guy that never wanted to do shit in the offseason. He wanted to come in week 1 and just start playing football. Now, COVID is giving all of these fucking guys the excuse to not work their balls off in the offseason and to fucking take it easy, collect their fucking checks, and not do anything that's extra. It's bullshit. They're all using this COVID bullshit. What? You want to play a season? You want to play a full season under COVID, right? But no, you can't do the voluntary off-season bullshit now because COVID, especially a year later, is so much more dangerous. Give me a fucking break. I've had enough with it. Take these fucking masks off that do nothing. I want to stop with this bullshit of, well, I don't know about this, or what about this variant, or the vaccines were not 80% yet. Shut the fuck up. I'm done with it. I'm done with this whole COVID horse shit. If you don't want to play football, if you're worried about getting sick and you're worried about making someone in your family sick or whatever, sit the fuck out. I don't want to see you at a voluntary fucking workout. I don't want to see you at an involuntary workout. I don't want to see you in a fucking helmet and pads with a puss face off in the side like, ooh, I got to do this bullshit. No, you don't. Sit the fuck off to the side. Go home. I don't want to see you. I'm done with everything that has to do with this bullshit. Okay? Let's play football. Let's forget about politics. Let's forget about the masks. Let's forget about this horseshit sickness. I want to go get my Johnson & Johnson. Give me my Pfizer. Fuck you. Let's play some football, and if you don't want to do it, get the fuck out.
Well, I think we can all guess what Rocco's political beliefs are after this statement.
And I'm not political.
Christ.
I'm not red. I'm not blue.
Oh,
I'm
my God.
I'm just fucking me.
You seem a little upset. You seem a little upset. Look,
it's ridiculous.
I have a very different stance on this.
Okay.
So I'm not going to completely dismiss all of the COVID shit. I understand it's a real issue. It's a real illness. It's, people are dying from it. I'm sympathetic to that.
Yes.
But I do agree with you on the fact that you can't play a season and do what you want to do, but then bail out on everything else because it's what you don't want to do. Like, you're using COVID as an excuse to get out of the things you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Now,
and that's what this whole country has done for a year.
I'm not going to go that far at all. You're fucking crazy.
I will.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's as much to do with even COVID as it is to do with your boy, LeBron James.
Oh, God.
I think this all goes back to LeBron James.
Oh,
and honestly, I love it. And here's why. I think the NBA has started this, and it's seeping into the NFL.
Beautiful. I love when the NBA seeps into other sports.
It's going to seep in the MLB next. You watch.
Oh, God.
It's going to hockey. If hockey survives, it'll be in hockey as well.
It better survive because hockey's in trouble.
And what it is player empowerment. And I'm all for it. I know you hate it. The only reason I am against it, the only reason why I'm against it is because some people take advantage of it. And then they use it to get out of shit, do what they don't want to do, to make more money, to do less. It's all kinds of shit like that. And that's where I'm against it. Where I love it is these guys taking their future into their hands and saying, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there. I want to play for an organization that actually supports me. Like, they're not taking it up the ass anymore. They're saying, and the reason why I love it is because guys like me who root for shitty organizations, guess what? Now every 3 to 5 years, we got a chance. Because one of these superstars, they're not stuck in a franchise for 20, 30 years. They're like, yeah, you know what? This franchise isn't doing it for me anymore. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over there. I love that as a fan. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I
have no problem with it.
Let me just say something. Don't get me wrong. Am I not for player empowerment? Absolutely not. Because I'm the opposite. I don't want to be owner empowered. I don't want the fucking leagues to just be run by the rich, like you said, upper 1% of the world. I don't want that either. Here's where the rubber meets the road with me. Tell me this. You got a cell phone. I got a cell phone. I think everybody on the fucking earth has a cell phone. If you sign a deal with Verizon, if you sign a deal with AT&T, we're going to get 60. I'm going to give you $60 a month. You're going to get all this. You're going to get all that. You're going to get a phone. You're going to get this. But you have to be a part of the contract for 3 years. If you're not a part of the contract for 3 years, you're going to pay $200 a month, and I ain't giving you no fucking phone. Okay, fuck yeah. Let me sign on the dotted line. You're going to tell me that because then I pay $60 a month, and I got a phone, and I got all this and all that, and then I think that I can all of a sudden, like in 3 months, say, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go somewhere else. No. You ain't going somewhere else unless you pay for it. These motherfuckers don't pay for it. They sign a deal that this fucking owner and this team supports them, in quotes, with $100 million a year. They sign that deal and say, yeah, I'll sign on the dotted line because you're the fucking team that wants to give me all this money. I'm going to sign for you. Yeah, 7 years, fucking $400 million fucking total. Yeah. I'm going to do that. Oh, no, but a year and a half in, like fucking Deshaun Watson, oh, you guys are not doing the right things. Or fucking Anthony Davis, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that because New Orleans is terrible. Yeah, was New Orleans terrible when you fucking signed your 10-year deal? Fuck you. I hate players like that. I think if you sign a deal, then you're fucked. If you only thought that maybe New Orleans sucked as an Anthony Davis, sign a 2-year deal, you moron. If Deshaun Watson, I understand that a little bit more because Houston's a terrible ran organization, but they're still paying you. They're still paying you $40 million to be the fucking quarterback. What gives you the right to break that contract when you can't break another contract in your life? You sign another contract for this or that, for fucking anything, cell phones, cable company, whatever the fuck it is, you can't get out without paying for it. Why are these players not paying for it? That's my issue. That's what I don't like.
I agree with you to an extent, but I think where you get lost in that comparison is you're talking about items, you're talking about property, you're talking about things. These are people.
They're property of the team.
But I agree with you. Maybe they should have it to where they take a pay cut or they don't get paid anymore.
There's got to be some. There's got to be some type of repercussion.
Repercussion. Maybe that should be the way. I agree. Like they shouldn't have to be on the hook for. Like I agree with you on that part. If Deshaun Watson, like take the masseuse shit out of the way.
Yeah.
Take any underlying maybe racist shit or anything else that might be going on there.
Yeah.
Like if that's going on, it's a different story. But let's just say he doesn't want to be there because they're just not making the right football moves. Keep it completely football. Then I agree with you. There should be kind of some
penalty,
kind of thing,
penalty.
Not even a penalty. Just gets Houston off the hook. If you're not going to play for them, they shouldn't have to pay you more than what you're there for. If that's the case, and I agree with that. But at the same time, it's like you can't say someone because they go get a job somewhere that they're stuck there, even if they sign a contract.
No,
if you're not happy there, you fucking leave. You quit.
I'm not saying
you don't work for them anymore.
I'm not saying that, but there's something. You would lose something. If somebody was working a job somewhere that signed a deal with somebody, there goes your insurance. There goes your fucking 401k. There goes this, there goes that. Like, you don't just leave and say, oh, I'm going to go make more money with no penalty. So that to me is the issue with me. Players can be empowered. I don't want the owners to run the league. But at the same time, when the players now start running the asylum with no penalty, we're going to be fucked. And that's my issue. I just don't want, just because some fucking, and I hate going back to the NBA, this is where it was created. I don't want, because James Harden got all of a sudden a couple more gray hairs in his beard in Brooklyn, next year he's like, oh, I want to go to LA. No, bro, you signed a 10-year deal with Brooklyn. Or Anthony Davis. Oh, we already won 2 titles with the Lakers. I want to go somewhere else now. Let me do it somewhere else with somebody else. Bullshit. You signed a deal. If the team doesn't trade you, then you have to stay. That's why I think these guys in the NFL, the NBA learned that, oh, I can just say, I'm disgruntled. I'm going to sit on the sidelines and I just want to get traded. You don't have to cut me. Just trade me. You'll get some shit for me. I'm a fucking excellent player. Go get some fucking pieces for me. That's what now the guys are going to do in the NFL. And that's what sucks.
I agree. And who started that was LeBron James. And then who backed it, who started in the NFL? I think this year was fucking Tom Brady.
Well, to be honest with you,
there's never been a superstar like that just said, I'm out. Never. That I can think of.
Well, to be honest with you, the guys in the NBA that really started it, let's not forget about these assholes, was Garnett and Ray Allen. So those were the guys that really started this horse shit, and then LeBron.
But I'm telling you, Rock, as much as you hate it because you want to be a loyal sports fan, and I get that. I get how you're being about this, but think of a big picture. This is great for the fucking sport, man.
For you especially, too.
NBA has shot the fuck up since that happened. Because guess what? Now we talk about the offseason. Now we talk about free agency. Now these things actually matter to where we wouldn't be talking about Russell Wilson. We wouldn't be talking about Aaron Rodgers. We would have never talked about Tom Brady. We would have never talked about Deshaun Watson. All these guys would have been locked up, done story. Nothing to see here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now it's all what ifs. Now it's all fun conversation.
It is fun.
And if it does happen, it literally can change the entire life of a franchise like Tampa Bay.
But it is fun. But I will say that just because the NBA has now brought in a lot more viewership and a lot more popularity because of the drama factor that has been now instilled.
That's what it is. It's a TV show, man.
The NFL has been the most popular sport for 20 years, and this shit only has started with the NFL for the past couple, like 2 or 3. So people love to talk about the draft from February on. The combine was the talk. Nobody gave a fuck about if quarterbacks were locked up for 10 years with their team. Football is the best sport in the country. Didn't need any fucking extra drama. The NBA did because it was failing. The NHL, that's what they need. Like, that's the one thing.
MLB needs that more than anything.
Exactly. So the NFL didn't need that shit, and it's going to get it. And that's what sucks. But yeah, don't get me started with these players not only backing out because of COVID, but then also just because they have a bug in their ass and they had a bad couple games and they don't like the stadium anymore, that all of a sudden they're going to get out of their contract and go somewhere else. It's ridiculous.
I do think back to the original point, because this was a fucking major tangent here. I think the original point is that I do think these guys, if you're going to play in the regular season, I think you should play. You should do at least some of the OTAs and stuff like that, because it's just going to water down the game, because there's going to be so many fucking injuries. There's going to be so many sloppy plays.
Yep.
I mean, it's already gotten so watered down with how they don't have like padded practice very often, and they don't do 2-a-days anymore, and all that shit. I just think it's needed to put good product on the field. I think that's needed, but I have no problem if someone says, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this, blah, blah, blah. But if that's the case, you sit out the whole season, or sit out at least the first half of the season. Yeah. I don't want to see you week 1 and be like, oh, yeah, I'm ready to go now. Yeah. Oh, so you just didn't want to do the voluntary or involuntary practices that everyone doesn't want to do.
Yeah,
well, I guess it would be voluntary.
Yeah. You hit on a great point as far as that goes. Like, you remember the first couple weeks of the season was so sloppy, so fucking sloppy. But we're also forgetting, too, I don't want anybody to forget about the little minute details that build a Super Bowl team. It's the camaraderie. It's the learning the playbooks offensively and defensively together, getting through the shit together. Just imagine. That's why I think the fucking Buccaneers are going to be amazing. Just imagine if Tampa and Tom Brady had the offseason last year. Do you think they would have looked like shit against the Saints that first week of the season? That's the biggest thing, is building the team chemistry, the team camaraderie, all that shit in the offseason is happening with the voluntary OTAs, with the involuntary OTAs, the mini camps and the fucking training camps. All that shit is being built there. And that's what we're going to miss because of what? Fucking 13 months later, COVID? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a sensitive, tough subject, because this thing, COVID, it affects everyone differently. Everyone has different thoughts about it. Everyone has their own stuff going behind the scenes. So I don't want to get in. I don't want to say that too much. But at the same time, same thing with the player empowerment thing. Like, there might be things going on behind the scenes. Like who knows? Maybe fucking James Harden. Maybe he had a serious issue with somebody, like that. If it ever was made public, we would all agree, oh yeah, you gotta get the fuck out of there. Like, that you can't work for someone like that.
Yeah, I think
I don't know.
I think the percentages are low on that. Like, I remember back,
I agree. I think a lot of it has to do with money and
and making it
lifestyle.
easy. Everybody wants to make it easy.
Yeah.
So to me, you remember that bullshit racist shit with that Donald Sterling, that owner from the Clippers. I would completely agree if everybody wanted to bail.
Yeah, he was a piece
Like,
of shit.
I fucking get that, right? But that shit ain't happening in Houston. That shit ain't happening in New Orleans. I mean, give me a break. So, like, they're just all trying to make it easy, and that's what I can't stand. But to me, let me just backtrack a slight bit with this COVID thing, but not really. Like I said earlier, if it affects more than you, if it affects your family and you have an older person that you don't want to get COVID, or you have somebody who has a lung issue or an asthma issue, whatever, I understand that. Sit the fucking season out. I don't want to see you. Like if you're CJ Mosley, like I think a guy like CJ Mosley or guys that have sat out the whole season last year, if they were doing that because they're worried about that, don't come back. Don't come back until you feel confident and comfortable that you can, but don't make that the regular season.
Yeah, that's why he did it. He had his son, I think, had an issue.
Yes,
So
and that's
why
fine.
He sat out.
Like if he wants to sit out another year, go ahead. But I don't want these players to say, "Oh, I'm gonna come September 1st. That's when I'm gonna show up." Give me a break. We didn't touch on the fact that the NFL now, there might be some of your superstar favorite players that have a different number this year. So as we all knew, quarterbacks, punters, and kickers were any number between 1 and 19. That's going to stay the same. As we all know, running backs could have been any number between 20 and 49. Well, that's going to change to where they can wear any number between 1 and 19 as well. And they can also wear any number between 80 and 89. Defensive backs, we all knew that they could wear anything between 20 and 49. That's going to be 1 through 49 now. Linebackers were between 50 and 59 and 90 and 99. Well, now you can include every number from 1 to 59 for them, as well as the 90s. You know, it's a shame. It's terrible. These young guys, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, are not going to change. They do not get the ability to change their numbers. So what do you think? I'll just say real quick, and then I'll get into it a little bit more after your opinion. I am not a huge fan of watching guys in college, like, say, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, fucking nasty middle linebacker for Notre Dame. He's number 6. You know, Leonard Fournette, another guy, running back. When he was playing at LSU, he was number 7. I don't know. I'm a traditionalist with this. For me, if you're a running back, anything in the 20s, 30s, even the 40s, and if you're a linebacker, anything in the 50s and maybe in the 90s, but I don't want to see fucking number 9 middle linebacker running around. I don't want to see number 3 wide receiver running around.
Honestly, it doesn't change anything for me.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe I'm boring, maybe I'm fucking old-fashioned, but
my
I don't like
only thing
this.
is that I don't ever want to happen, and I don't know if this is going to happen. The only thing I would hate is like how in college you can have 2 guys with the same number. That's fucking ridiculous.
I agree.
I hate that.
Completely agree.
I hate that. I mean, you imagine Tom Brady 12 thrown to fucking Godwin 12. I mean, it would be like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I'm with you. Do you know the reason why apparently they're doing this? You know who we can fucking, or I can, at least I, because you don't give a shit. You know who I can blame for this?
LeBron James?
The fucking Kansas City Chiefs. They're the ones who came up with this shit. Apparently, they were the one that literally...
Boy,
Andy Reid stood on a fucking table, apparently, in the fucking NFL owners' meetings and coaches' meetings, and they said, listen, we want this changed.
What was that? Was that table made of steel or what?
Table, I think it was like 3 tables put together with duct tape. Apparently the Chiefs are saying that there was a shortage of numbers between 20 and 49 because their numbers 28, 33, 36, and 37 are retired by the franchise. They said, that's why,
Oh, wasn't that nice?
Yeah, so, so let's just change the whole fucking league because our team has a couple numbers that are retired. Just like they're doing with everything else. They're changing the way offense looks, and they're changing the way fucking all this other shit. I'm like, and some of it I don't like. So I'm going to blame the Chiefs. That's why they're also going to miss the playoffs because they're worried about their fucking jersey numbers.
The real reason comes out why you're making them miss the playoffs.
I mean, but think about it, though. How fucking stupid is that? You got owners' meetings. They're talking about challenges. They're talking about important shit. They want to fucking talk about jersey numbers. I mean, give me a break. How stupid are the Chiefs? But, so it's crazy. It's a moot point, I guess, now with us because you don't give a fuck. And I just, I'm just set in my ways, I guess. And I want to see how the NFL has always been, I guess, with numbers. That's just me.
Yeah, to me, it doesn't really matter as long as as long as two things don't happen. One, they don't do that college shit where it's two guys have the same number, and then two, everyone doesn't change their number like year to year. Like I don't even care if 1 year everyone's like, all right, we're gonna change our number or something. Like if that happens this year, it's gonna be a little annoying. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like the end all be all for me. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
But if a guy changes his number like 3-4 times, like they do in sometimes like the NBA or something,
Yep.
That'll be annoying.
Okay.
Like, I don't want to see someone go from like 56 to 30 back to 56 to 11. Like there's a lot of guys that you name them for me. I wouldn't even tell you. Like I know Lawrence Taylor was like what 56.
56.
Like
Sports nerds
off the top of my head. I can't tell you everybody's number.
Yeah, it's amazing too. It's like flavors of ice cream. I mean, everybody's different. You ask me. I mean, I've sports nerds like myself. You know, as far as that goes, I've always been infatuated with tying a number to a guy. You know, you can quiz me on anybody, and I'll guarantee you I score 95% about anybody you ask me with the numbers. It's very weird, but I've always been a numbers guy with that. Anybody you ask me, I want to not only, you know what team and shit they played for, but also what number they were. So that's why this, to me, I guess, is more of a bigger thing to me than it is you. But at the same time, like you said, I agree with you too. If they're going to change numbers every year, fuck that. And if we have double digits, which there's no way, they could do that in the NFL, but those are the only bugaboos I have about it.
Yeah, for the NFL too, I think it's like, for me, it's like quarterbacks, and like if you were like the dominant defensive player in the league on a squad, like a J.J. Watt or a Revis or Sanders or Lawrence Taylor, I'll remember those numbers, and I'll remember the quarterbacks' numbers. Shit, I don't even really remember a lot of receivers' numbers. I definitely don't remember any offensive linemen, linebackers, unless you were great. Like I know, Ray Lewis and a couple other guys like that, but.
Yep.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you what like Bowman's fucking number was off the top of my head. I have no clue.
Yeah, I just think 53. I think honestly, the
better be right.
The thing that that gets me about this whole thing, like about this whole jersey number change and all that shit, it's really the Kansas City Chiefs. Like to me, the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are worried about that in the offseason among anything else that we can fix.
What
with
else
this
they
game.
have to worry about? They got fucking Patrick Mahomes and the fucking greatest offense basically ever. What else they got to worry about?
They got to worry about their offensive line. They got to worry about
their defense and I guess the two tackles that they cut.
They got to worry about they got to worry about the fact that there is a Super Bowl hangover curse, so they got to get their asses in gear. But at the same time, there's so much shit that we can fix with this game, like these referees that, hopefully have two working eyes. And, can we fix the challenges? Can we fix some of these fucking, these penalties where, it was absurd 2 years ago, and then it was absurd how many penalties they weren't calling this year. So there's so many other things to be worried about except fucking jersey numbers, for Christ's sake.
So, Rock, I got one more thing I want to discuss before we close this shit out. The Vegas odds for win-loss totals in the NFL just released the other day, and honestly, there's a few interesting ones here.
The over-unders?
Yeah, the over-unders.
Okay.
And we got to remember, this is a 17-week season now, so it's a little... Honestly, my personal opinion is I think this is a great time to bet. It was the same thing 2 years ago. I was betting the NBA, and they had they changed the shot clock on the rebound.
Yep.
And Vegas didn't adjust to it. So they didn't realize how many more possessions each team was going to get. So the scores, all the over-under scores were super low. Like the first 2 weeks of the season, dude, I was winning everything because I just kept betting the over on every fucking game.
Yeah.
And they kept thinking, oh, it was going to be 200 points, 180 points. The fucking games were 250.
Yeah.
Each team was scoring 20, 30 more points.
Yep.
And I think this could be the same kind of deal if you're into betting it all. I think a lot of these are going to be a little under what they probably should be because they're probably not really thinking about the 17. The fact is, 17 games, an extra game, you got an extra chance to get another win under your belt.
Yeah, no, I love betting NFL. I used to back in the day bet all sports, but to me, the sport that I'm the most comfortable with, the most I think about is the NFL. And not only do I like betting weekly, but these future bets, man, they are fun to do. So let's get into it, man, because I'm excited to see what you fucking got. I mean,
especially if you have an idea that if you think a team's going to get a great draft pick and you think that draft pick's going to be an impactful one, this is even better.
This is the time to do it. You're exactly right.
Because it's going to change. If Justin Fields falls to a team like the fucking Ravens or something, and people are like, oh, I like that pick better than Lamar Jackson, it could change. I mean, the Ravens are pretty high up, but it's probably a bad example.
Let's think about this. Let's do this for a second. I want you to tell me, go through it real quick, because I'm not looking at this, ladies and gentlemen. This has got Scotty written all over it. I want you to tell me right now, give me your out of your tits lowest win total there for a team, and we'll discuss that.
For your boy, the Detroit Lions are only set for five wins. Yeah, you think they're going to be that bad? I don't.
Holy shit.
I think they're going to get a receiver. I think they're going to probably get some defensive pieces.
Yeah, no, I would definitely go over 5 for Detroit for sure.
Yeah, 5 I think is pretty low for Detroit.
Yeah, I can see them finishing. I think at best they finish 8 and 9. But they're definitely going to have more than 5 wins. Absolutely.
This one, and maybe because of Sam Darnold, but Carolina Panthers 7.5. I think there's no way they're not at least an 8 and 9 team.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be a fucking 9-10 win team.
To me, the only way they win less games than that, if they go 7 and 10, is the only reason is because Darnold is not who we thought he was, and McCaffrey doesn't stay healthy. But if they get both of those things, where Darnold is a at least middle of the road quarterback, and they have McCaffrey for most of the season, they're going to be better than 7 to 10. Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a couple here, man. Washington football team and the Arizona Cardinals both at 8.
It depends.
And you got to remember 8. You got to remember though, 8's a losing season.
Oh, absolutely. It depends.
It's 8 and 9.
I would say Arizona will be better than that. It's going to be a shot in the dark with Washington, because you just don't know.
I agree, NFC East, but I don't know. I feel like
Arizona's low.
Safe.
Arizona's low. I got them at least 10 and 7. Arizona.
Give
me your highest one that makes no sense. Because we all know you got Tampa and Kansas City at the top, I bet, right?
It's Kansas City and Tampa have the best odds.
Okay.
Kansas City, or the win total.
Yep.
Kansas City has 12. Tampa Bay has 11.5.
Okay.
I think the third is a little, to me, is off base. The Baltimore Ravens are at 11. I think that's kind of fucking high.
Interesting.
I don't think I'm not high on the Ravens, but some people are. So I don't know how crazy that is for the rest of the world. I think the two on here that stand out to me personally, you're not going to like either. Well, you're not going to like one of them. One of them's the Tennessee Titans at 9.5 wins. I don't think they're a 10-win team. I mean, they just keep losing pieces. I don't know how they're even going to be good this year.
Okay.
And then the other one is your Dallas Cowboys are at a 10. They're 9.5.
They're 9.5, so they got to be 10. I can see them going 10 and 7. I can see them going 10-7 in that division.
I don't know, man.
Absolutely.
I guess if you factor in that division, that's the X factor is with that division. It's so fucking. You never know.
Let's get this straight real quick, because I'm confused. I've been confused for many episodes about this.
I picked Giants, and I said if the Giants aren't going to do it, it's probably going to be Washington.
I understand, but I'm confused over if Dak is your guy, and Dak is such a fucking great quarterback, and he's the best quarterback in the division.
A defense.
Okay.
You have no defense.
All right. Okay. So you don't like the fact that they got Dan Quinn. You don't like the fact that they're going to probably get the top defensive. I'd say probably the top defensive guy in the draft. What do you like? What is the issue? It's the defense still.
Yeah, one guy is. I don't think going to change life there, but we'll see.
I think the biggest issue with the Cowboys, they've had the same players for fucking 10 years. I think the biggest issue with the Cowboys is how the fuck has Rod Marinelli gotten that defense to play great, but yet all of a sudden Mike Nolan comes in and they don't know how to play defense. I think that's the biggest key is Dan Quinn. But that's just me. I'm not saying Dak Prescott's the fucking answer to the reason why they're going to win 10 games, but you're going to tell me that the same fucking players Mike Nolan completely trashed, Dan Quinn's not going to do the opposite? I'd give them 10 wins if Dak stays healthy.
We're both high on the Minnesota Vikings this year, I believe.
Yep.
They got them at 8.5.
No way. Nope. You over that. I'm interested to see, what do they got the Jets?
Jets are 6.5. I think
it's 6.5.
That could be fucking high. That could be high, honestly.
6 and 11, you think?
Listen to me.
I don't know. Salah, man. Salah. I like Salah. It's not Gase anymore.
I'm gonna go the top 5 lowest total here. Number 1, the lowest is the Houston Texans at 4.5.
They're gonna be under that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that I can see.
They'll be under that.
Detroit Lions at 5.
Crazy.
Then it's the Philadelphia Eagles at 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Jets at 6.5. Mm-hmm. And then guess who rounds out that top 5?
Let me guess. Hold on. You're gonna say the Bengals, aren't you?
The Cincinnati Bengals at 6.5.
Fuck. Yeah. Nope. I'm not looking at that. I just guessed. I'm telling you, they are fucking selling. They are going low on Cincy. I would take.
So you should put all your money in that one.
I'd take over 6.5 right now with everything. I really would.
honestly, I think this is surprising too, and I know you're going to think I'm fucking crazy for this. Jacksonville Jaguars are at 6.5. I think they're going to be over that too.
Yeah,
I'm a believer in Lawrence, man.
Yeah.
I don't think the receiving core is that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
here's going to be the question. This is why I wouldn't take Jacksonville right now. It's got to be after. Let's see what happens after the draft. They got 3 guys in the top 33. If they go get, to me, not because we didn't say this on our mock, but say if they get Lawrence, say if they get ETN at 25, and they get Freiermuth at 33, that bumps them up to me another full game. Like, to me, that is now their offense is legit with an already pretty good defense. So,
okay,
even though I got them taking safety in the first round, the second pick, there's a good chance that Urban Meyer wants to go all offense. If they take and reunite ETN with Lawrence, and then they bring in a guy like Freiermuth with the first pick in the second round, hello, I'd like Jacksonville a lot more.
They got each division broken down based on the estimated win totals. So they got each team basically, or each division, telling you which team they think is going to win it. First off, they got the Ravens winning the North, which again I'm not. They got the Bengals in the basement.
So hold on a second. So you're going to tell me they have Baltimore above Cleveland?
It goes Baltimore, Cleveland, then Pittsburgh, then Cincy in that division.
So what's the win total for Cleveland?
9.5.
That's insane.
I would go over that.
Holy shit.
What do you think your division's got? Number 1.
I got to imagine Dallas is number 1.
It goes Dallas, Washington, Giants, then Eagles.
What is the Giants? 6.5 or 7?
Giants are 7.
7, yeah. Okay. That's the interesting one in the division. I'd take over with Philly. I think Philly's going to go minimum 6 and 11.
Well, they're 6.5, Philly.
Oh, I thought they were 5.5. They're not 5.5?
No, they're 6.5.
Okay, well, that's a real tough one too. I almost am tempted to take. I wouldn't take the Giants because they're at an even 7. I can see them going 7 and 10, and then Washington, like we talked about, it just depends about Fitzpatrick, and it depends on how that division works out. Oh man, but I really believe Dallas is going to be 10 and 7, so I would say over 9.
Rock, I got a real interesting one here. This is probably gonna make you happy because this kind of goes into your argument from the past. AFC East, they got Buffalo as number 1. They got the Patriots, number 2.
Yeah. See, now hold on a second.
Dolphins number 3.
Yeah.
And then Jets.
Now, what are the numbers though? So what's Buffalo at? What's New England?
The Buffalo's 10.5. New England's 9, and Miami's 9. But they got, and then the Jets are 6.5. But they got in the rankings, they got Patriots above
Miami. Okay, 9,
yes.
Huh? So they're saying the Patriots are going to go 9 and 8.
Yeah.
No, I don't see that. I just don't.
I thought you said you think the Patriots are going to be good.
No, I'm saying I don't see them going 9 and 8. I see them better than
you think they're going to be better?
I think that's yeah. I think that's a good record for Miami. I don't see I see New England being better than that. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Now one more I want to know. One more. Give me the LA Chargers. Because if I had to guess right now, you got Kansas City, of course, on the top to them. I'm going to guess that I hope they don't overrate Vegas, but I'm going to say the Chargers are 2 and then Vegas is 3.
That's correct.
Okay.
Chiefs are at 12 wins. The Chargers are at 9 wins.
Yep.
The Raiders are at 7.5.
Yeah. See, the Raiders
7.5.
The Raiders
and Broncos are at 7.5. They got Raiders and Broncos.
I go underneath with Denver in a heartbeat.
Me too.
Underneath. I think my 2 favorites are Denver and Detroit. I think. Well, excuse me. No. Fuck that. I want to go Denver and I want to go Cincy. I'll go over with Cincy. I'll go under with Denver. Those are my 2 favorites.
I like Carolina too. I think 7.5 is too low.
But yeah, for what I'm seeing, I can't believe Cincy's that low, and they're fucking saying Denver's gonna win 7.5 games. Give me a break.
They got the Niners 11 wins with potentially a rookie quarterback playing.
That's insanity. That's insanity.
It says 10.5, so they have to have 11 wins, so they have to be 11 and 6.
So you're telling me that they don't have the Rams winning that division?
No, they do have the Rams winning that division. They have the Rams the same odds or same total. It's 10.5, but they have the Rams winning the division and Niners coming in second. They have the Seahawks at 9.5 at third, and they got the Cardinals in the fucking basement at 8.
Wow. Okay. Well, listen. Honestly, I mean, if the division shakes out like I think it's going to shake out, Arizona is going to be in the basement. But I think all the teams are going to almost have winning records, if not, 9-8 now would be a winning record. So Arizona could be 9-8, and they're in the basement. That division is going to be nasty. If they stay healthy, that's the best division of football.
Oh, I agree. It's definitely the best division in football. I think that and that AFC North, which has been one of the premier divisions.
Well, if I think Vegas has got to get their heads out of their asses, and Denver is going to be. I think they're tanking on purpose this year. Denver, unless they tell me in the draft, which I still don't think is going to happen, unless they move up for a quarterback. If they do not take quarterback in the first round, and especially if what they think or what I think is going to happen, and they trade down, they're tanking on purpose. So
I can't believe Miami too. I'm high in Miami. I don't know why Vegas. Yeah. Vegas is like you, man. They hate Tua.
I think it's. I think a lot of it has to do with these quarterbacks. I think New England would be higher if Cam wasn't the only guy there. I really do. I think we're gonna check this out too, fans. Let's check this shit out after the draft. If New England makes the move like I think they're going to do with Jimmy G, or New England makes the move like Dr. Tomas thinks and gets Justin Fields in the first round, we are going to see if that number changes after the Thursday night in the draft. Because to me, I think New England will be higher with the quarterback, and I think that's why Miami is suffering. I think that's why probably Cleveland is suffering as well. They're probably saying we don't trust these guys. But the one guy that I think they got to start trusting a little bit more would be Joe Burrow. And if he can stay healthy and they get him his boy Jamar Chase in the first round, they are well on their way. And apparently, did you see, speaking of Cincy, that in a couple days they're unveiling new unis?
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, new unis for the Bengies. So they're going to kick it off like most teams do, when they get kind of a new franchise face. They usually say, all right, well, what are we going to do next? Let's get a new uni. So I'm excited to see those. But Scotty boy, I think today was pretty good, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, we didn't really have a whole lot to go into, but I still think we found some shit to talk about.
Yeah, I think episode 11 now in the books. I think for episode 12, we're gonna try to sift through some fan mail. We're gonna try to figure out the next two teams that we want to deep dive into.
I think we should go into a couple teams here. Let's get these the listeners their teams broken down before the draft, so they know what each team needs.
I'm with you. I think we got to turn it up for the next 2 weeks because we are now officially about 12 days away from the NFL draft. The first round is Thursday night, is April 29th. I can't fucking wait. Scotty and I are going to be together in New Jersey, which we can't wait for. We're going to be watching it together, and we are going to actually do a show for you guys while we're there. So we are going to break down that draft and maybe have some special guests too. Like, we can't fucking wait. But for now, see you later. Sayonara.
Adios.